was going to say a little bit about the importance of the feedback. Marking is an old-fashioned term. We don't mark work. We don't give marks for children's work. What are we actually doing in terms of writing? We're trying to help the children become good at editing. In essence, that's how I see it. We're trying to show them how to improve and make more accurate their own writing. And the idea is to sort of almost do yourself out of a job. At the beginning of the year, you might have to do quite a lot of modelling and demonstrating in terms of showing them pieces of writing and thinking about what works, what doesn't, and what's inaccurate. How can we improve this and make it more accurate? But by the end of the year, you want them independently, as far as you can, editing their own work. That idea of editing, as I say, it's got two aspects to it. One is the composition, improving the word choice. That doesn't necessarily mean bigger and fancier words. In fact, there's a danger there. You talk to any writer, they will always say, if there's a choice between a fancy word and a straightforward one, I'm going to choose the straightforward one because this is about impact upon the reader, not about showing off to anybody. And fancy words can sometimes intrude on the flow of the writing. It's almost as if you hit a fancy word and you stop. You notice that a high-flown word has been used rather than an everyday one. It can sometimes stop the flow. So we've got the whole business of the composition and looking at that to do with word choice, sentences. Do the sentences flow? Are they linked together well? How does the meaning build up? Is it affecting you? What do you feel as a reader? Is it engaging you, moving you, making you interested? So the purpose, the audience, the effect on the reader, that's what it's all about. So we're looking for the composition in terms of word choice, sentence manipulation, creation of those paragraphs and the overall structure of the texts. And then we're looking for accuracy in terms of spelling, punctuation, etc. So lots and lots of thinking through with children what works, what doesn't, how can we improve and make it more accurate? And we're doing that, of course, when we're reading. When we're reading through some Mike and Walpurgo with them, we can be pausing and thinking about, why was that an effective paragraph? What did he do there? Now, in terms of the writing, we can, as I said earlier on another video, we can be working with a guided group in terms of reading through the work, watching what's happening, pausing, reading a bit back, thinking about the word choice, etc. So editing can be done, can be taught with a guided group. I tend to do a lot on the hoof, running around the room. As a young teacher, I kept myself trim and active. I was around that room, nimble as a ferret, leaning over the shoulder, saying, oh, I love that bit here. That's a really nice bit there. Have a think about that there. So I was looking for two things: quality of the writing, flow of the composition, but also a weather eye in terms of the accuracy and trying to pick up on those little bits and bobs. Not always doing it for them, sometimes saying, there's something you need to think about here. There were three symbols that I tended to use. A tick for when I thought, yes, spot on, that's created an effect on me as a reader. And then sometimes a dot in the margin. A dot in the margin means there's a mistake in there, you spot it. That's spot the error. That's very, very handy for some children. And a wiggly line can be useful. So a wiggly line for some children might mean, this word, I want you to do this one again. Word choice. I think you can find a better word, a stronger word there. Or I might even put a wiggly line underneath a whole sentence, which means this sentence is poorly written. I want you to rewrite it down below. I don't think we need a lot of different symbols or complicated things. I used to get away with dots, wiggles and ticks, and that sorted me very nicely because the focus was on the meaning, was on the effect upon the reader, and then also picking up on those other little bits in terms of accuracy. So I did a lot in terms of guided. Obviously during shared, you're rereading, you're noticing things, pausing and saying to the children, which bit works really well here. You're involving them constantly in thinking about what works and what doesn't. And then you've got the one-to-one as we rush around the room. If we start on a Monday, then as I've said, we can look at that writing at home, and then the Tuesday morning we can do some whole class feedback. I always used to like to get a couple of examples perhaps up on the screen, say, let's read this through. This is Gary. Come on, Gary, you come and read it out. What were you trying to do? I mean, Gary will read it out. What do we like about them? What do you like about it? Anything that you think might need improving? And we can get some comments from the rest of the class. So we can do some whole class teaching of editing and improving writing, and then they can either work in pairs, sharing and working together, or individually. And the idea is to get them, certainly by the time you leave primary school, as skilled editors and improvers of their own writing.